everyone, it's Emma, and today I'm doing my winter favorites for the past season. I know that winter is not over, at least for me. I still have like 2 months of winter left. Recently, I've just gotten in the spring mood, and I noticed that the books I was reading, the manga I was reading, were not so much winter themed anymore, but spring themed. I figured I should make my winter favorites video because I think I'm done with winter favorites. I don't think I'm gonna find any new ones. So that is what I'm going to do today, and I'm going to jump right in and start with the books that were my favorite. The first one that I have is Whichwood by Tahereh Mafi. I loved this book so much. It just was so lovely. This is Tahereh Mafi's companion novel to the book Furthermore. You don't have to read Furthermore to read this one, but I did really enjoy the way that the stories correlate. Some characters from Furthermore make appearances in this one. She goes back and explains anything that is necessary to know, but I did think it was really nice how the two stories played together. I loved this one for its magical winter setting. It takes place in a world where the winter solstice is kind of the big celebration for them. So it was the perfect read for winter time. I was reading it while it was snowing outside, and the descriptions of this world where everything is snowy and icy and magical was perfect to help me appreciate the blizzards that I got here. It's also super dark and mysterious. The whole story centers around this girl, Laylee, who is a moored shore, which basically means that it's her job to wash dead bodies and prepare them for the afterlife. There were some moments that had me cringing, but it was the kind of dark that I really enjoyed. Despite the like moody, dark kind of feel of the book, the friendships are so heartwarming. The friendships and the character developments just kind of blessed my heart and made it an overall very, very enjoyable read. I forgot to say, I'm in a different part of my room! Look, I got new bookshelves. There's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these little shelves on here. I'm really happy with it. The next book that I have here is a poetry book, Storyteller by Harper Nicols. I just mentioned this one in my poetry book recommendations video, which I'll link down below if you want to see that. But I wanted to mention it again because I do think it really was a favorite of the winter time. Harper Nicols writes her poetry as letters, so each one is dedicated to a person and each one kind of has a theme of encouragement. If you need little daily encouragements in your life, this is the perfect book for you. For the woman who has overcome impossible things, over the trees, over the clouds, over the things you could not figure out, over the times you have been let down, stop for a moment and take a good look around. You are moving north in the mountains now. That was just a random one that I flipped open to, but all of the poems are like that. They're just kind of encouragements to different people, and I found it very uplifting. I also love her Instagram if you haven't seen that. She puts her poetry on Instagram and she does some artwork and stuff, and it's very lovely. And then the last bookish favorite is a manga. It's Dreamin' by Ichigo Takano. This is the same creator as Orange, which I mention often. I've also mentioned this manga a decent amount. Even though I loved Orange, I didn't really intend to pick this one up. I don't know why, I just wasn't sure if it was something I would like. But as soon as I read the first one, I just bought all the other ones and read all the 5 volumes that are out so far, and I still wanted more. It's about this girl who, she's in high school and she decides to leave her house, and she ends up living with these 3 guys, and it's kind of the story of her being young but starting the process of growing up, having crushes for the first time, all of that kind of cute stuff. And at the point of the story that the last volume left off, it kind of seemed like they were about to tackle some pretty important issues, so I'm interested to see where this goes, especially because Orange was so emotional, and this one so far has been pretty happy and nice. I'm super excited to see where it goes. I also just love the characters. Zen is my panda-loving child. He's so sweet, and more than anything, I really just want Zen to be happy. So if you just need a nice, easy manga read, one that will make you feel happy, make you feel all the feels, then this would be a good one to pick up. Now I have some movie and TV favorites. The first one is the new Star Wars movie. I grew up on Star Wars, so I've been excited for all of the new movies that have been released, but this new one was especially good. It kind of reminded me of like why I loved Star Wars growing up. I feel like this was a movie that even if you are not a Star Wars fan, it would make you a Star Wars fan. I had a couple friends who weren't that big into Star Wars and then they watched this new one and then they became obsessed with Star Wars in general and went back and watched all the movies. For me, even though I grew up on Star Wars, this one really like reawakened my love of Star Wars. So it was really nice and nostalgic, but at the same time, it was definitely new and different than the other Star Wars. One of the things I loved about it was just the cinematography and how aesthetically pleasing this movie was. There were so many battle scenes and just moments that were so breathtaking. I actually had my breath taken away a couple times in this like sci-fi action movie, which I just was not expecting from Star Wars. I also love the main character Rey. I think she is so cool, and I also really like her dynamic with Kylo Ren, which I'm not gonna go into too much, but yes guys, I am a Reylo shipper, I'm not gonna lie. Now that I have ranted about Star Wars, I'm gonna talk about my K-drama favorite. I started watching Goblin, which so many of my friends and so many of you guys have been telling me to watch since the first video that I ever mentioned K-drama in. I finally did it. I finally started Goblin. I have not finished it, but that's because everyone has told me that it is so sad and I just feel like it's gonna crush my soul. So I'm not ready for it to be over. Goblin is one of the only magical K-drama that I would recommend. I'm not a big fantasy K-drama fan. I've only enjoyed a couple that I've watched. I usually go for the college ones or like the work life ones, but I love this one. It is so funny. I think that's why I love it. It's just so funny. It makes me laugh out loud like constantly while I'm watching it. It's basically about this man who is a goblin. It's not what you might think of when someone says goblin. He's basically just an all-powerful immortal being. Or as my brother likes to call him, the Hoblin, because he's not a normal goblin, he's a hot goblin. So it's basically about this man who is like this all-powerful, almost on a god kind of level, but he lives on Earth. And this girl, this young girl who can see ghosts and has been told her whole life that she is the goblin's bride. And then they meet and then things start to happen. One of the best parts of this drama is the bromance. There's this man who is a Grim Reaper and then the goblin, and they have this almost frenemy kind of dynamic that is so funny. I've literally cried laughing in certain scenes. It's just too funny. Moving on. I have a YouTube favorite this season. It is Twirling Pages, or Alexandra from Twirling Pages. She has a beautiful Instagram and blog that I've been following for a pretty long time, but recently I've been watching her YouTube videos and I love her videos. I love her whole vibe. She always has like a really pretty background behind her, and I just like the chill way that she talks about things. I also like that she has a good mix of bookish content and non-bookish content, because that's usually my favorite kind of channel. And she also always has a lot of good representation in the books that she recommends. I feel like she recommends books that I've never heard of, but I always want to read the books that she recommends. I've just been really enjoying all her content that she's been putting out recently. If you haven't checked her out, I'll put her link down in the description box. Go check her out, give her a subscribe, you know. And check out her Instagram too, because it's super pretty. Next, I'm going to talk about my music faves of the winter time. I listened to a lot of new music during the winter, so I tried to narrow it down to like a couple songs that I really liked. If you want to know more of what I was listening to, I made playlists for every month in the winter, and then I also have a K-pop playlist of K-pop that I've been listening to recently, so I'll put that on public so you can check that out if you want to know more. First of all, I want to talk about Instagram, which is Dean's new single. I love Dean. He's one of my favorite artists. He has the most beautiful voice. It kind of reminds me of Bruno Mars, except I like Dean's music style more. I think technically it's considered K-R&B. I just love it. It just like is so groovy. Is groovy a word that you can still use? If anything is groovy, then Dean's music is groovy. He just has this super smooth voice. It's so, I don't know, romantic. And it's real calming and nice to listen to. I was so excited to get some new music from him. I'm hoping that there's an album or an EP or something coming in the near future. Kind of in a similar music vein as Dean is the artist DPR Live. I have not listened to the full EP that they just put out, but I did really like the single, which was called Jasmine. Listening to Instagram and then listening to Jasmine back to back was like my jam for a couple days there, and I've just continued to like it throughout all of the winter months. It's kind of a similar music vibe to Dean, but I think DPR Live has more of a rap sound to it. Some songs that kind of remind me of like old BTS, like that more hardcore sound, that is kind of my favorite. So I love DPR for those songs. My next music favorite is Lucy Rose. Lucy Rose is kind of a singer-songwriter type of artist. She has a lovely voice and I really like her lyrics. They're kind of interesting and I'm always thinking about like what the story is that she's trying to tell. Her album, Something's Changing, is my favorite. I've been listening to it non-stop throughout all of the winter months. I put one of her songs' intro on my Instagram story a couple weeks ago, and I got a bunch of messages and tweets from you guys saying that you listened to it and loved it. She just came out with a new single. I believe she's coming out with a new album soon. I'm not sure about that. She is going on tour. I'm kind of hoping I can make it to one of her concerts. Now I've just got a couple random favorites. The first one is hot chocolate. I have not been drinking hot chocolate for a long time because I have to eat really strictly dairy-free. For a while there, I couldn't drink almond milk. I wasn't doing any kind of nuts. Hot chocolate with coconut milk is just like not the same, but I've been making this hot chocolate with hemp seed milk and it is so good. It's been so nice to have hot chocolate in my life again over these Christmas months with all the snow that we've gotten where I live this year. It's just been such a nice treat to have. I've probably had it too much. This is the brand Silly Cow Farms, Silliness by Nature. And my next random winter favorite is this thing that looks like a giant fluffy something or other. Surprise, surprise. It's not a creature, it's actually a coat. I got this really fluffy coat for Christmas, and when I first opened it, I didn't love it. I liked the idea of it because I wanted a coat like this. I didn't think I could pull it off. But then it grew on me and a lot of people told me I should keep it. And then I just started wearing it and I grew the confidence to pull it off. It's so warm and it's also just, it's kind of like wearing a fluffy hug or like having a small fluffy animal with you at all times. It's definitely been a favorite of these winter months. I would include beanies in this winter favorite list, but I feel like you guys know that hats are my favorite because I wear them so often in videos. The last thing on my winter favorites list is a very random item. It's my planner. I am not a bullet journal kind of person. The whole idea of bullet journaling stresses me out to the max. I think it's because journaling is a very creative thing for me. Most of the writing that I get done ends up being in my journal, but at the same time, I've been really busy these past couple months, and to achieve everything that I wanted to get done, I kind of needed to make lists, write down day to day what I wanted to do. So I got this planner, which is first of all really cute, and I think it's really sassy that it says I'm very busy. But there were a couple weeks there in January that were super busy where I was traveling and I was trying to get ready for this month of videos, and it was my birthday. Lots of stuff was going on. I just really needed to write down what video was going up on each day, when I was gonna film, when I was gonna edit, and then random stuff like packing, cleaning. The helpful thing about this planner is that it has the whole month written out, so I usually would write in some big things there. Then it has a section for notes, which is really helpful for the months where I have things that are going on all month long. And then it has day by day, so I can make lists in there of what I want to do. It's just been super helpful to keep my life organized in this really busy kind of period. I haven't been using it the past couple days and I've missed it. It just helps me accomplish all the things that I want to do. Writing it down makes it less stressful because if I'm referring back to this, then I'm less likely to forget something that I wanted to get done. That's been super helpful, especially for me, the non-bullet journaler. I almost dropped this on my face. So those are all the winter favorites that I'm going to talk about. Let me know down in the comments some of your favorite things from the winter season, whether it was books, manga, TV shows, movies, a piece of clothing, a random cute thing that somebody gave you for Christmas. Let me know down in the comments so I can share the enjoyment with you. I hope you have a lovely day or night or afternoon wherever you are, and I will see you in my next video.